Hello, hello. So, got a new story today. It says judge school's father who thinks he knows the law. Assuming that's the father right there.
Hello, Judge.
Hi, how are you doing?
Doing good. Nice to meet you.
All right, nice to meet you too. So you're the father?
I am.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the daughter. Who's this lady?
All right.
Is it like the public defender or something? Why is he here?
So this is what I always tell parents, and I used to be a defense attorney, so I know how it is with parents. When parents have children, their child can be 30, their child can be 40, that's still their baby, and they want to be involved. And it's especially true when you have a child who is young, 17, 18. But here's the thing, in this world, they're all considered adults.
Okay.
And when they have an attorney or something, the relationship is between them and their attorney. I used to have to tell parents all the time because sometimes the parents would hire me. And I used to have to sit down with parents and say, hey,
I think she's trying to find a nice way to tell him that he needs to sit his ass down and just let the defense attorney handle it.
you've hired me, you're paying me, but that's the end of our relationship. You can't be a part of discussions I have with my client because guess what? If you're part, I would tell them, if you're a part of discussions I have with my client, then there's no attorney-client privilege. And you know what ends up happening with that? When there's no attorney-client privilege, guess what? You can be called as a witness. Anybody who's in that room having a conversation, it's all fair game. They can be called as a witness. And maybe sometimes there is something that maybe a client wants only their attorney to know, and they don't want other people to know. But when parents are in the room, guess what? That all goes by the wayside. And sometimes we have to let our children go and let our children be adults. So on this side of the fence, I would always tell parents, it's great. I need you to be supportive. I need you to make sure that my client, your child, is keeping their mental health great. They know that everybody is rooting for them and are a part of their team. And I would tell them, but that's where it ends. And it can't go past that because when it does, there's an issue. And let me just tell you my experience with one case I had in the past. Had this client very young.
He doesn't want to hear any of this.
Mother wanted to be 100% in the conversations, even though I would tell them, hey, you shouldn't be in this conversation and you cannot be talking to your child about what happened because guess what? You can be called as a witness. They wouldn't listen to me. And so when it came time to do a plea bargain agreement, the parent is in the hallway, and I can tell you this because they were in the hallway shouting, so everybody heard, so it's not confidential. So they're like, I want my child to do A, B, and C. And you know, I told them, I said, that's your child's choice. Because guess what? If your child chooses A, B, or C, and if something ends up happening and they end up going to prison, the judge is not going to say, you know what, your child only chose A, B, and C because of you, so we're going to let you suffer the consequences. You understand?
I do.
And for some reason, with attorneys, people assume that being an attorney is easy and being a doctor is so much differently. Because if you go to see a doctor and you get the same case, so we're coming back on June 27th, and let me just tell you the way this court is run.
Okay.
All right. So that's the way it's going to be. So this is what's going to end up happening. We are going to come back and we're going to come back on June 27th. Counsel, is that enough time? Understand that. Cannot be crossing lines. Does everybody understand?
I
Understand?
understand that.
All right. So that's the way it's going to be.
Double booked. I've got a hearing on the 27th,
Okay.
but
So they set
double
no
booked. I've got a
dates.
hearing on.
Everybody has the discovery. So when the defense counsel and everybody tells me I've received all the discovery, next thing I do, I require the state to tender an offer to the defense. And the defense has an ethical and legal obligation to tender that offer to their client and tell their client what the consequences are of the offer. Then I give everybody a plea deadline date because I want people to think about whether they want to accept the plea or not accept the plea. If they decide not to accept the plea, when I give them the plea deadline date, then that plea deadline date has expired and the next setting is going to be a jury trial. And they'll have to plea open to the court.
Your child has a serious, persistent mental illness and a developmental disorder, and that is recognized and should be recognized early on in the Article 1622 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. And there's been multiple suicide attempts.
All right, let me stop you right there. So
Okay.
here's the thing. With regards to that, that is something for her attorney to address. What you should do as a parent is turn information over to the defense attorney if you think it's something that she needs to know or is something that her client wants her to know. You understand?
I do.
So here's the thing, you got to cut the string. And when I say cut the string in the court, I mean court the card as in your daughter and her attorney need to be able to have conversations in private. Now, if her attorney wants information from you, then the attorney will ask you, say, hey, I need some information from you. These are records. Maybe I need these records. I'm trying to get these records. Do you
Why is she explaining to him how this works instead of just getting on with the case?
have these records? This is something that I want to view. That's completely up to the attorney. But what you're telling me right now and quoting code sections to me, guess what that tells me? You're trying to be an attorney and you're not an attorney. Did you go to law school?
I didn't go to law school.
So there's the thing. People think that they can read penal codes. They can read the Code of Criminal Procedure and that's it. And not to step on anybody's toes, but for criminal law, when you're practicing criminal law, you know what your Bible is? Your Bible for your profession is attorney. Guess what? I would see one section next to it. It's similar to the Bible. It has something about that person in the other section.
This woman just loves the sound of her own voice.
So when you questions out to her, let me just tell you, I know her. Every attorney in here knows her, and all attorneys updated part of the book is if you are doing that job, what the law is about something that you've been doing for all your adult life. Pouring concrete, you have to have it at a certain.
Oh my
Here's
God.
the thing at the end of the day. At the end of the day, this is her attorney. From what I've seen, it appears to the
10
court
minutes.
that she's following through on all mental health issues if there are any. You know why I know? Because I put in here, refer to mental health court. And I know that she's been working on doing that. That's why it's in here. Otherwise it wouldn't be. And you know how I know that? Because she requested a lot of me.
I won't go for long, Your Honor.
This is
Okay.
the judge.
Of course, she did go to mental health, and that's where we discussed, and that's the absolute right place to be. Just a month ago during a suicide attempt, I said I really finally have insurance, and I'd like to get inpatient care for her because it's a very serious issue.
Okay.
And I was correct. No, let's hold off until we can get.
So here's the thing though. The advice that she's
What did she even do? What is
giving your daughter and the advice that maybe she's given you, that's from her legal perspective. And she's trying to protect your daughter's legal rights because this is a criminal case, right? So that's what's happening. So what we're going to do, I'm sure she probably already has, but I'm sure she'll do it again. If your daughter wants to, she's going to discuss with her what the offer is. And we're going to come back. Either she's going to accept the offer, not accept the offer. Do this whenever you're meeting people, what the cost of a mortgage for their degrees
my
and
God?
they do. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Is there anything else?
There is.
Yes.
My client had a mental health evaluation that her father has possession of and is refusing to relinquish. From my understanding, I would like to get that today.
Okay. So he wants to just replace the lawyer completely.
All right. So here's the thing. I can't force you to turn over things to her. get this. She needs information in order to represent your daughter, right? So that's what she needs in order to represent your daughter. Whether you want to turn it over or not, that's completely up to you. Here's another thing I would always tell my clients and my clients' parents. This center of the courtroom, which we call the well of the courtroom, is a minefield. Your child, right? I would always tell them that you didn't give me, that's all on you. So if you or if people care, client or not, it's not something that she is going to turn over to the state unless that's something she thinks should be done. What do you think she's going to do with the information? You know?
Did they just come before the judge instead of dealing with the case for the lawyer to somehow reprimand the parent into actually getting out of the way? Is this what this is?
Well, I would say, I'd love to hear what her understanding of Michelle's mental.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I want you to internalize what I'm saying. She doesn't have to talk to you. You're not her client. What she's telling you is you have information, and I'm assuming you want her to see the information. So either you want her to see it and study it and give it to her, or you don't. If you don't, that's fine. I can't legally force you to turn that over to her. But what I'm telling you is, if this is a child and you say you love your child, which I'm assuming you do, I've just told you the information you turn over to her is information you've given to her. Her medical records are confidential. She's an adult, so I don't even know why you have them in the first place.
Yeah.
Because she is an adult. Those medical records are her medical records. They are not yours.
Why doesn't the lawyer just ask her client to get it from her father? Your father can't keep it from her.
She is not a child in the eyes of the law. So if you have something that would help her attorney represent her better and you love her, you probably should turn it over. The end. That's it. The end. All right. So either are you going to turn that over to her or not? That's either yes or no.
I'm going to give it to my daughter. If she wants to, it's a client, privilege between the two, and if she wants to.
All right. So just hand that over to your daughter now then. All right. Is there any other documentation that are medical records that belong to your daughter? And when I say belong to your daughter, her name is on it and it's related to her treatment. Do you have anything else?
Not with me.
All right. So this is what you need to do. Again, I can't force you to do it. Her medical documents are her medical documents. And do not interfere with her and her attorney relationship. You understand? So you can't give her documents and then say, oh, I don't want your attorney to have it, or I don't want this to occur. You need to be a part of her having great mental health. And the way to do that is not put stressors on her. And don't put stressors on her by interfering with her relationship with her attorney. Because guess what? This atmosphere, being on the criminal side, is already stressed enough. Whether somebody committed.
This is ultimately silly. I don't even. Like, this is all about him. They didn't even get to her case yet. This is before her case. This dude, he needs some mental health evaluations because this is crazy. Anyways, until next time.